I'm currently embarking on a quest to watch every single Oscar Best Picture winner, and the one from 1930-31 is Cimarron by RKO. I hadn't heard of this, to be honest. I hadn't heard of the other contenders, East Lynne, The Front Page, Trader Horn, and Skippy, which I've heard of, but I'm not sure if it's that Skippy I've heard of. However, I watched Cimarron, and I wouldn't have ever said it was quality enough to be Best Picture, even for the 30s. However, it's pretty decent, but it's a film that's going to have a different kind of audience and will take several watches. It is long, it's about 2 hours, which specifically for the 30s is quite long. It was directed by Wesley Ruggles and written by Howard Estabrook based on the novel by Edna Ferber. Obviously, I haven't read the novel. It stars Richard Dix, Irene Dunne, and Estelle Taylor. And I'll read the description from IMDb, but it doesn't really cover everything. A newspaper editor settles in an Oklahoma boomtown with his reluctant wife at the end of the 19th century. I read that before I saw this, and I thought, I don't know what that means. I'm British. Obviously, my knowledge of American history is not that great. I would like it to be a lot better, so feel free to educate me. But the description on Wikipedia is much longer, but makes more sense. And basically, it's all about the Oklahoma land rush of 1889, where a lot of people travel to the Oklahoma Territory to grab free government land. Still not more the wiser than I should be, but it's a Western film that's pretty important, that was born out of an important moment in American history. And this, our protagonist, Cravat, sets up a newspaper, and there are outlaws, and there's the kid, and it basically has all of the hallmarks of a classic Western in a Western town. Not as many horses as I would have expected for a Western, but seeing this kind of this approach to Oklahoma was really interesting, because it's not somewhere where I watch a lot of films. That was awful grammar. It's not somewhere that appears a lot in the films that I watch. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I can't vouch for exactly how much of it was filmed in Oklahoma, but certainly it was quite nice to watch. But it was long and drawn out, and there were a lot of moments in the narrative that were either far too slow or just really kind of hard to keep up with. And I don't know if that's because I'm just not 100% familiar with this time period, or if it was just because it was absolute chaos. So if you have an opinion on that, please do let me know. The other thing that I wasn't that keen of, even though it's imperative that this is done this way because of the narrative, because of what happens with some of the characters, but there is some negative attitude towards Native Americans and certain other characters. There was some interesting feminism in this, actually, that I hadn't expected. I was quite pleased with that. And the courtroom scene is brilliant. I loved the courtroom scene. But there is some really negative attitude towards Native Americans and some other minorities as well. I'm not sure if I can call Native Americans minorities, but you know what I mean. There were some less than pleasant things said about certain people, and it was uncomfortable. But it was necessary in order for the film to develop the way that it did. I have to say, I loved Asaya as a character. Absolutely fantastic. The treatment of, not that great. But the actual character, played by Eugene Jackson, was brilliant. He was only ever, I believe, known as a child actor. I don't think he ever did much although apparently he was active until 2001, at which point he died. So I'm definitely going to have a look into more of his work. But I really enjoyed that character, and I thought it just added a little bit of, I don't know, I guess innocence almost. It's a very long film, very complicated film, but if you like Westerns, it's something probably worth checking out. Again, I didn't finish it thinking, yep, that's definitely an Oscar winner. So either the rest of the films were really rubbish, or I just don't understand just how poignant this is with the portrayal of Oklahoma at that time. I'm sure somebody can inform me otherwise, but for me, as a casual, well, I'm not a casual film viewer, but as a casual viewer of this film who hadn't had any expectations and wasn't looking for anything specific, I liked it. It had its moments, it had its flaws, but Cimarron is probably worth checking out at some point.